Peloponnesian War was one of the most significant conflicts of ancient Greece, a war that lasted for almost 3 decades between two great powers of the time, Athens and Sparta. It was a war that had significant long-term impacts on the political, economic, and military landscape of the region. The war was fought between Athens, which had established itself as a dominant naval power in the Aegean, and Sparta, a well-equipped military powerhouse of the time. The causes of the Peloponnesian War are complex and numerous, including economic rivalries, political disagreements, and ideological differences. One of the main causes of the war was economic rivalry. Athens was a commercial and maritime power, relying mainly on trade for its wealth. It had established a vast empire of colonies and allies, which further expanded its trade network. Sparta, on the other hand, was an agricultural power that had built its economy on the basis of farming and relied on land-based trade relationships. The wealth and power of Athens, combined with its democratic principles, became a threat to the more conservative and authoritarian Sparta, which began to see the power of Athens as a threat to its dominance. Sparta saw Athens' aggressive expansion as a threat to its traditional way of life and its economic and political interests. Another significant factor was the ideological differences between the two powers. Sparta believed in the importance of strong, authoritarian rule, while Athens valued individual liberty and democratic principles. This ideological divide fueled the conflict and led to deep-seated resentment and mistrust between the two sides. The Peloponnesian War was fought on both land and sea, and both sides experienced military successes and failures. At the start of the war, the Athenian navy was dominant, which allowed the Athenians to control the seas and secure their trade routes. Sparta, however, had the powerful land army, and through various battles, they were able to form alliances and carry out offensives on land. As the war dragged on, both sides began to feel the strain of the prolonged conflict. Athens was hit hard by a devastating plague outbreak that killed many of its citizens, weakening its military and economic strength. Sparta, on the other hand, faced political turmoil and internal conflicts, which further weakened its war-making capabilities. The Peloponnesian War ultimately ended in the defeat of Athens, and the war-weary Greeks were left to pick up the pieces. The war had long-standing impacts on the region, including weakening the power and influence of Athens, which never regained its former glory, and reducing the power of Sparta, which also struggled in the years that followed. In conclusion, the Peloponnesian War was a conflict of power and ideology. It was a struggle between two great powers, each with its own way of life, value system, and interests. The conflict had a wide-ranging impact on the Greek world, and its legacy can still be felt in the modern world, influencing the way we understand war, politics, and diplomacy.